Okay, I think we're live. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Breaker Bros. I know it's been some time, but we're back better than ever. And
We're
plus,
back.
well, that's the main thing. So tonight, we think it's a good time to predict the 2022 season record. And not to boast too much, but we got the record exactly right last year. We didn't necessarily get all the games right, but we got the record right, and that's all that matters. So
Lots of people looked at it. So we put it out there. I don't remember all the details. I'll have to watch it again, but I do remember thinking, like you were super confident about like how good the Bengals are going to be. I was kind of on the fence, but definitely did not see the Super Bowl run coming. From my perspective, I don't know. You were pretty confident about how good they would be. So, I mean, do you remember if you thought, oh, they were definitely going to have a good shot at the Super Bowl?
I don't think anyone really thought about the Super Bowl. I thought more realistically maybe the playoffs. Like we would have a pretty good shot to make the playoffs.
Like we would end like the streak of non-playoff victories, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I think if I remember correctly, I felt pretty good that we would have a shot of being in the playoffs, which basically that's what happened. I think we were probably more dominant throughout the season than what most people would expect because we won the division, got into the playoffs, and then we got on to that incredible roll. And it seems like it's a combination of them signing the right free agents and then adding to it with the right draft picks. Because McPherson, I mean, I guess outside of Jamar Chase, probably had the biggest impact to the team.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to say they drafted well. I mean, even if the only player you drafted was Jamar Chase, that's an excellent draft. So, I mean, only one, miss as far as I can tell. But we won't get too much into that. We're in a good mood, right?
Right. So I guess starting off the season, and we're kind of doing this off the cuff, which I think it's kind of like the best way to do it. You don't want to overanalyze. You kind of just want to go with your gut. I almost feel like the first game could be a trap game. I mean, I feel like this is the year where we should be the favorites. We should just go in there. Well, they should come into our house, and we should just be able to dominate. But it's the Steelers, you never really know.
Yeah, I mean, you say that, and I remember going to the Steelers game last year and looking up at the scoreboard at one point and thinking, is this even real? Because I mean, it was a boat race. I mean, they just put up points on the Steelers and they just look helpless. So yeah, I mean, maybe a trap, but I don't know. I don't. This is the first. Can the first game of the season be a trap game?
Well, I think another thing that we will be dealing with, and we really didn't play their starters that much in last year's preseason, but I don't know like how rusty they'll be because none of the starters or basically star players played at all in the preseason this year.
And I remember that was kind of like a Zach Taylor thing. I think he did that last year as well, if I remember right.
No, they
I mean,
played
definitely
a few
Joe Burrow
series.
didn't play much, right?
Well, no, not Joe Burrow, but I mean everyone else was in there because I remember.
I was gonna say I remember him handing the ball off like 1 or 2 downs, and that was it last preseason. Is that right?
Well, yeah. I mean, in terms of Joe Burrow playing, he only did like a few snaps, but it was just like I think a mental thing for him to get on the field before the actual regular season because that was always in question. Like, is he really going to start the first game of the year? And then I think it was just like a statement thing. But if I do remember correctly, like most of the starters did play, I think throughout the first quarter, or maybe it was just the first couple of series because I think we played Tampa, and I think it was actually kind of like a hint of how good we actually could have been because if I remember correctly, our starters versus their starters, Tampa, we actually were kind of dominant. That's when Joseph Asai had his big game and then got hurt as well. And he barely played this preseason too. Like it seemed like they let him play like the first series of every game. Actually, I don't even think he played at all in the third preseason game. I think they were trying to protect him. But I think with this one though, I think we can confidently go in and get that dub. or I guess start the season with a dub.
That's a win.
Yeah. So I'm gonna put a W there.
Okay.
Now the second game is gonna be a special game because I live in Dallas, and then you're gonna be down here. So
yes.
Actually, here
we're gonna try to get into that one.
Here. Okay, I'm gonna do that. That way it's a little bit more in the screen. I just realized the first one was a bit off. All right. On paper, I feel like we should be better than Dallas.
Okay.
But
are we playing the game on paper?
True, but I guess what I'm saying is maybe. I think Dallas is too good of a team, talent-wise, to take them lightly. And the last time the Bengals came into town or Dallas, we lost pretty handedly. I think Zeke had like an incredible game. Pretty sure he rushed for like almost 200 yards and like 2 touchdowns. It's pretty bad.
Okay.
But
yeah, but didn't they lost a good offensive lineman, the Cowboys, right?
Yeah, they did. I think they lost their starting left tackle, and then not only that, they had to replace a few other starting linemen. I think 3 in total if you include the injury. Obviously, Lyle Collins is with us, so that's another. But I think from what I understand,
revenge game. You got the revenge factor, right?
Yeah, I almost consider this a reverse jinx, and there's probably no real logic into this, but I'm gonna put a loss on this one.
Oh, okay.
I know.
Well, I mean,
like I said, I feel like we can definitely win this game. But
I think I'm looking at the spread on DraftKings, and the Cowboys are favored, so it's not completely without. You're not like way off base. I mean, they're favored by 2.5 points, so it's not.
I'm doing this more of as
a home field advantage thing.
Like a reverse jinx, because I did the same thing last year. We went to the Raiders game, and I'm like, pretty sure I had it. We were going to lose that one, and I think we ended up winning. So I'm trying to put the same. Like in my heart, I think we can win, and we should win, but I don't know, because like if I look at the schedule, I was like, well, I feel like we have a pretty good shot of winning the first 8 or maybe 9 games, but it never really works out that way. So, like I said, there really isn't that much logic that I'm putting into it, but I'm just going to go with I guess how I feel. So I'm just going to put a loss for that. And then heading into the Jets, obviously we kind of that was a trap game last year. There's always a trap game, I feel like. Or a game where you lose, where you think like, how could that be?
I still don't know. I still don't understand that game. That was like the weirdest game.
Yeah, because
like that. Because I remember we were making fun of the quarterback that was starting for the Jets. Like
it was the 3rd string quarterback,
South Florida, and like he had like the game of his life.
We still threw
like 50 interceptions, but he still had the game of his life. It was the weirdest thing.
Yeah, it was an anomaly, but. With that said,
Bengals are favored by 5. So
and then CJ Uzama is on that team. So, but I feel like based off of last year, they're gonna remember that, and I think they're gonna want to make this like kind of like a statement. Like, so I'm gonna give the dub for that one.
Okay.
And then heading
2
into
2-1.
2-1. That's still not a bad start.
No, it's a good start.
I think realistically, we could still be 3-0 at that point, or at this point. But heading into a Thursday night game, home, and then it's gonna be the first primetime game of the year.
Yeah.
We'll have the alternate jerseys, the color rush plus the white helmets. I think that's gonna be the debut at the Miami game. I think Miami might be pretty tough, but I don't know. I just. Tua doesn't really.
Well, they're playing the Bills the week before. The Dolphins are.
So you think they're going to be a little banged up?
Well, I don't know that the Bills are going to bang anybody up any more than anybody else, but I mean, they'll likely be coming off of a loss, right? You would guess. So there will be home against. I don't know. I always feel like. It's a huge advantage Thursday night to be at home.
Yeah, that's kind of what I look at too. And then
the Bengals will be traveling from New York, right? So they play Sunday the 25th in New York, So I have to come back from there, and then the Dolphins will be at home. So um, I don't know. I just think that's such a big disruption to the schedule. I'm sure it's not what it once was, but you know,
Well,
that's my put on it.
the biggest thing that
Take
scares
on
me
it.
about Miami is the receivers. Like they're going to have a pretty good receiver core. It's just, do we really trust Tua to do everything that he needs to do? I think if we can disrupt him, we have a good shot of winning. But I also feel fairly confident about this game because we do have the advantage of being home. So I think we get a dub here. So
Okay.
3-1. Now this next one's gonna be a little bit more tricky. At Baltimore,
Okay.
primetime game, but
Yeah.
the advantage, since we had a Thursday night game, we'll have a little bit more time to prepare going into that game.
hmm
And then I think the advantage of the team that we have now, especially with Joe Burrow leading it, is that I don't think the moment could ever be too big, right? I mean, we made it to the Super Bowl, and we were to play away, really just maybe 1.5 seconds away from actually winning the Super Bowl if we had a little bit more protection.
Well, the Bills are playing the Ravens the week before we play them. So maybe the Bills are just gonna wear them out for us.
Yeah, but it's Baltimore. They always play tough against us. I know we kind of had their number last year. As much as I would love that to continue,
You think?
with tough divisional opponents, I always like to split it. I feel like that's the way to go. With them being at home,
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Game. As much as I hate doing it, I think we take a loss here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I still remember. Oops, wrong button. Yeah, I mean, to say that the Bengals had their number last year is an understatement. They broke a record, right? They ran they did that Joe Mixon wheel route for like 40 yards.
Sure. No, I mean, it was impressive, no doubt. But I guess the only asterisk we had is that maybe the second game can't really put too much stock into it because it was against a lot of their backups. But I mean, it is the NFL, I know. But the first game, you can't say anything about the first game because they had most of their starters then, and we manhandled them both games. But I mean, the second game was definitely more impressive if you look in stats. However, it is a new year. The only thing that Baltimore, I mean, if I was a Baltimore fan, what I'd be worried about is like the whole Lamar Jackson situation, the fact that he hasn't signed, and it seems like he hasn't signed his big extension. I know he wants a lot of guaranteed money. I think he's definitely looking for basically what Watson got, which is going to be really, really difficult to do. Just because the Browns are so desperate.
Okay.
But that's the only thing about Baltimore is that we don't know where they're going to be at. I think we'll have a pretty good idea after the first couple of games or whatever. But if there's any friction there, then this could easily be a dub because obviously, if your quarterback is not in the right state of mind, or you don't have that relationship with your quarterback and the head coach, which is very important. They may not be as focused or as dominant as what they are because Lamar Jackson's the whole thing that makes it go right now is that he's such an anomaly that they really built a team around him. I mean, if you go back to the draft, well, I guess what I'm saying is you build your offense around your quarterback's ability, and I think they must have listened to one of our streams. Because you said if I was on Baltimore, I'd just keep drafting tight ends. And if I remember correctly,
I would go the all tight end offense.
Yeah, so they already have a really good all-pro tight end. And then I want to say they drafted 2 more tight ends that are big and athletic, So I think they understand how their offense runs.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you got a quarterback that's inaccurate and throws it high, then you get the biggest guys you can find because, they can catch the high pass because they're tall, right? I mean,
well, yeah, you give them easier throws, right? I mean, and no, not a knock against Lamar Jackson because he's an incredible athlete. But I mean, if we're just talking about top end down the field throwers, if we're being honest, he's not elite in that aspect. Obviously, he's a good
I don't
quarterback.
know, man. I think that's unfair. I still remember watching a Hollywood Brown game where like he dropped like 3 like touchdowns that like Jackson just put right into his breadbasket. And
Sure,
just
but he
dropped
was
them.
probably
So
wide
like
open.
in the stats, it looks like Lamar Jackson missed them, but he hit them,
Right, but
right?
if you're in the NFL, you make that throw. I think the point I'm trying to make is that what separates elite versus what you would consider like just what you would expect from a professional athlete is the accuracy, the touch, the decision making. Like if he did that consistently, then yeah, obviously we would put him in that bucket. But he hasn't shown it consistently.
Yeah. See, I'm pro Lamar Jackson. I think he's elite.
I'm pro Lamar Jackson too. I think he's elite in what he does, but it's like
Yeah,
saying
he's a different player.
that's
But
what I'm saying.
I mean,
That's why the offense is built around him.
yeah.
It really fits what Baltimore does anyways because they traditionally like to run the ball. They like to be aggressive, and then you put a quarterback like Lamar Jackson back there. Like I said, he's the thing that really makes him go. So I guess heading into New Orleans though.
Oh yeah,
I consider this a home game. Like it's really hard for me.
You think it's a home game because of Burrow and Chase?
Yes, I absolutely do. I think there's going to be a lot of Bengals fans there. And then I feel like, especially Burrow and Chase and all the other LSU connections, Collins, I feel like they're emotional players. So I feel like they're going to be in there and they're going to feel at home. And I wouldn't be surprised if it almost feels like a home game based off the noise. Because no one expects New Orleans to do good this year. Or, I mean, they have a chance to do good, but I think most people would say that this is probably an off year for them. So if we come in hot, living up to expectations, I feel like we're going to have a big presence there. So I see us doing really well this week. Just like I said, because I feel like the leaders on our team are very emotional and they'll want to show out. Because so I'm just gonna go ahead and put a W there. I feel pretty confident about that.
Yeah, I feel confident about that game for different reasons. But
why do you feel confident about it?
Well, as you may remember, I'm a big Sean Payton fan, and he retired. So I think that their team is gonna suffer because of that. I mean, I think that they have a lot of just odd types of players on their team. Like see, I'm drawing a blank now. What's their quarterback? That
Winston?
Taysom Hill. They just got some weird like roster spots filled by like Sean Payton type players, but they don't have the coach there anymore, so they're gonna still run the plays.
Yeah, but isn't Winston or did he get hurt? I can't remember.
Well, he got hurt last year. Jameis Winston, I think, is going to be the starter. And I mean, he was good under Peyton, but like again, I just think so highly of Sean Payton as a coach that I just see them getting worse because I just feel like he was able, like offensively, to put together a bunch of things that didn't make a bunch of players that didn't really make a ton of sense individually and kind of put them together and make something of it. But like, last year, it was kind of like, smoke and mirrors last year, but you lose the coach that made the smoke and mirrors work. And now, you got, they drafted a wide receiver right at the top of the draft. And so it just feels like a weird roster, right? Like it doesn't make sense, right? Because like there isn't like their highest paid player a receiver. Michael Thomas coming off of an injury. Like you don't even know if he's going to play, but then they drafted like another Ohio State receiver to be like, it just seems like a weird team. So those are the reasons why I think that, the Bengals win. Because like, Bengals have continuity. They have a plan.
Yeah.
They have a system in place. Whereas I don't know what the Saints are,
And I feel like whatever we did towards the end of last year is just going to be a continuation this year. So I think we're going to continue to build off of that. Obviously, we're going to take some lumps along the way, but I feel pretty confident about that game for many different reasons. I guess going into Atlanta at home, I feel like that should be a game where we should be able to dominate.
I would think so. I think Atlanta's definitely rebuilding. The
I mean,
Bengals are already favored by 10, so to me that's
I mean, they did draft that.
Des Ridder.
Yeah, he might be starting by then. Who knows?
Yeah, this would be about the time you would think he would start.
Yeah, especially if they have a slow start, then they would have no reason not to play him at that point, right? Get him that experience.
Well, I don't know.
Well, I think
I'm not of the mindset of, oh, we suck, so let's just put the other guy in, you know.
Well, I don't think, because I think the current starter,
Marcus Mariota.
yeah, I think he only signed a 1-year deal, so he's not like a long term. It's only a 1 or 2 year deal.
You gotta play the better player, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If it's about equal, then you play the younger guy where he might have a lot more potential.
Yeah. But who knows? You know, for his sake, I hope not this game. It'd be weird.
It would be, but and even if he was starting, I think we have enough on our defense to really throw him off too. Because part of the reason why we drafted the safeties that we drafted is that they're very versatile. And there could be some packages where we have all 3 safeties on the field.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. The Falcons just don't have a very good roster, so.
Right, no, I agree. Yeah. But it could also be, this could be the trap game too. You never know. But
can you have a trap game at home?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess you can.
I think to me, just a trap game is just where you totally.
Well, the way this was color coded, like we were talking earlier, like I see black and I think away, right?
Right.
And I was like, oh, if this was in Atlanta, I would be like 100% this is a trap game, right?
Right.
But it's not. So I think you know the answer, right?
Yeah, I think we're gonna go with the dub on that one. Now this is an away game at Cleveland. Pretty sure Deshaun Watson's still gonna be suspended. Was it a total 11 games? Is that?
Will the next person that sees anybody throw anything onto this field, point them out, but get them out of here. You don't live in
Cleveland. I think he's still suspended, right? Didn't they?
I want to say it's 11 games, right?
Yeah,
that sounds about right.
Right, because I think originally it was like 6 or 7 games.
Yeah, it wasn't.
And then it was 6, right? It was going to be 6.
Yeah.
And then they wanted the whole season, and they negotiated, and they got it like 11-ish game. I don't know. I guess I could just Google it, right?
Yeah.
Why don't I Google it while you talk?
No, I feel pretty confident. I mean, outside of Deshaun Watson, I mean, they still have a pretty talented roster.
They still have Jacoby Brissett. He's not bad.
No, he's not bad, but I also think because Joe Burrow hasn't actually beat Cleveland, I think this is going to be like another one of those games where he's going to take a little bit more to heart. I don't know. I feel pretty good about it. It's going to be a primetime game, and then if we just go off of like, what we currently have as far as our record, taking a loss in Baltimore as a primetime game, I think this is another game where they're going to want to show out and make a statement. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the dub. I feel pretty good about it.
Okay. I don't disagree. Just hope somebody figures out how to tackle Nick Chubb.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the big concern. I mean, they could literally just run behind their running backs, but I thought they were having some running back issues at one point. Because I think Kareem Hunt wanted to be traded, but I mean, at this point...
Yeah, but he wasn't the guy that killed us.
No, but I mean, when you have a 1-2 punch
I feel happier if Nick Chubb wanted to be traded.
Well, no, but they practically have 2 number 1 running backs on their team, so it's like... You put in Chubb, you don't really get a break when Hunt comes in, so it's like it's a really effective 1-2 punch behind that line. So like you don't.
Yeah, but I mean, remember they had that one guy play during like week 17. Can't remember his name, but it wasn't Chubb or Kareem Hunt. They had like a third guy.
Yeah,
who,
I know who you're talking about.
like
They actually
200 yards.
re-signed him too, but I mean, yeah, he's still not on the caliber as them two though.
They're just a good running team, and
Well,
they
then part of it too
ran
is
all
they
over
just
the
have a really
Bengals
good
last
offensive
year.
line, so they're able
Yeah.
to do a lot with little. But
Right, and
definitely
you gotta
some
figure
concerns.
they're gonna lean into being a running team. You would think.
Yeah.
So, but I like what you got going on there. So
Okay. Well, then I guess we're going into Carolina. The only thing that concerns me is that Baker Mayfield is what undefeated against the Bengals.
how did they get Hall of Famer, future first ballot Hall of Famer Baker Mayfield? I think he's thrown like 3 incompletions against the Bengals.
Yeah, it's kind of rough.
Ugh.
But I guess the bright side, we don't have to play him twice a year now, right?
Yeah, that's true. Even though they didn't, did they play him twice last year? I feel like all the starters sat out that game, right? Or
The
was it just
majority of the
Bengals
starters did sit out, and I think Jamar Chase played one series just to get that record, and then they sat him. Which I think if they just allowed Jamar, if he was the only other starter like that to play the whole game, I think we would have won the game. Like it was actually a fairly close game.
Yeah,
and then
we wouldn't have. He would have been tired for the Super Bowl run. So he needed that rest.
But Carolina seems like another team that's kind of in that rebuild mode, still trying to figure things out. I think we take the dub.
Well,
here.
who do the Panthers play before us? Because like there's the whole Baker Mayfield continuum, right?
I have no clue who they play.
I'm looking at it. The Falcons. So I agree. There's like some circle of life with Baker Mayfield. It goes from like nobody believes in me to like prove the doubters wrong to like disappoint. So if they play the Falcons before the Bengals, he's gonna have his, prove the doubters wrong game, and then come against the Bengals and lay an egg. I'm gonna say the mojo's gone. So
okay. Well, I think we take the dub here. I think, and it's at a home game, a home afternoon game, so that adds to it. So
yeah,
it's those primetime games that we have to worry about, or used to. I feel like.
Yeah, we used to. We're not the Andy Dalton team anymore. We don't have to worry about that stuff.
Now we get the bye week. Now we're in
Right.
Pittsburgh. I feel like this almost might be flexed out of a primetime game.
You think?
Because this might be and it's really hard because it's been a while since Pittsburgh actually sucked.
Who's their starter? Is it going to be Kenny Pickett or is it going to be?
I think at this point it probably is going to be
Mitchell
Kenny Pickett.
Trubisky.
I think it will be Kenny Pickett by this time for sure. If it's not the first week, which I'm pretty sure the first week will probably be the veteran Trubisky. But again, if your veteran and your rookie's performing about the same, you always put the rookie in because why wouldn't you just give him that experience now? However, their offensive line.
You want to win football games,
huh?
Because you want to win football games.
Yeah, but
also you don't want to. Also, you don't want like the defensive lineman to like murder you.
Yeah,
you know
but
what
that's not logical. What I'm saying is like this is assuming that you're not winning football games, right? You're probably at 500 or below. So that's why you put the rookie in because why wouldn't you give him that experience? If you're going to lose anyways, or most likely going to lose, you might as well build from this year to prepare for and be in a better position next year. Experience never really hurts. But the only thing maybe that would keep him from actually putting Pickett back there is that their offensive line is pretty bad, in a pretty bad shape. Like I see a lot of Pittsburgh fans complaining about their offensive line. It's kind of like, feels very similar to where we were last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see this actually being flexed out of a primetime game because I feel like at this point, especially if they have a whole bunch of losses and they're not really in contention of anything. But I'm gonna put a dub here, even if it's at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think if your quarterback options are Mitch Trubisky or Kenny Pickett, that's a loss for you.
So this,
Even though Mike Tomlin still might figure out a way to win, who knows, man?
so this is where it gets kind of probably the toughest stretch for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Tennessee is going to be interesting, especially at Tennessee. But I feel like Tennessee didn't really get better.
I think they got substantially worse. I don't know why I think they got worse, but
They traded Brown, their top-end receiver.
Yeah, they got rid of the receiver and they drafted Malik Willis. I think by this time, Tennessee is going to be in shambles.
Really?
Mark it down.
I mean, at this point, I don't know. Like,
I mean, they keep trotting out, what's his face? Who's their quarterback again?
I want to say Chad Pennington. I know that's not right, but I think of Chad Pennington.
Yeah, it's Chad Pennington.
No.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, man. Chad Pennington's washed. Oh, yeah, Ryan Tannehill. I don't know. He just feels like a fast Andy Dalton. I'm just saying that, like, the Titans should have won that playoff game against the Bengals, and Tannehill lost it, right? He lost that game for them.
Yeah.
And they got rid of, instead of getting rid of him, they got rid of, like, their good players, right? I'm just saying. And then they drafted a quarterback. You know what I mean? It's just like, well,
they still have their running back, who's a beast.
Yeah.
This is where it gets kind of dicey for me. I feel like
Okay.
I feel like we take an L here. I really do, because it's kind of like, even though, like, I think our roster is overall better, I feel like they'll have an axe to grind. They'll be at home. I think they'll be amped up.
Yeah. They'll make up for the playoff loss.
They'll make up for the playoff loss.
Week 12.
Yeah.
Just like the Bengals avenged the Super Bowl in the preseason.
Yeah. So this is where it gets interesting. So now we play Kansas City, and if I remember correctly, I think it's been like 20 years since Kansas City beat us. I think we have this crazy winning streak against them. It's either 10 or it's a significant number. It's like, it's crazy.
I know that they beat us.
I don't think they beat us since Chad Johnson guaranteed that we would win.
I thought that was Peter Work.
No, that was Chad Johnson.
Did they both do it? Is that possible?
No, it was definitely Chad Johnson.
It was Chad Johnson?
It was Chad
Johnson.
Johnson.
So he played with Peter Work? I still remember
like
Peter Work had like a good game that year. Or that was like maybe Peter Work's best game as a pro was like when the Bengals beat Kansas City. During that year that they were undefeated. That was the guarantee game, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think this is where
keep in mind, Kansas City did not get better.
Agreed, but they have Patrick Mahomes, they still have Kelsey, they have probably one of the best offensive-minded coaches in Reed. And like I said, just a law of averages. I'm going to give us a loss here. I think that's fairly realistic. I think we're kind of due for it, right? So it's going to be interesting, for sure. So Cleveland, huh? So we already lost. No, we won against Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
So
Deshaun Watson will be back for this game.
Yeah.
Right? Because he's 11 weeks, so...
Yeah, he'll definitely...
games. So either be back week 12 or week 13, depending on when the Browns' bye is. I don't really know. I guess we could figure that out.
I don't know. I feel 50-50 on this. I feel like, just based off my logic before, we split. But I feel like...
Yeah, but you said good teams.
No, Cleveland on paper is really good, actually.
So let's see.
The last half of the
November
season versus the
30th
first
is their
half is
bye
a lot
week.
more difficult.
So it looks like their bye week is week 12.
Cleveland?
Yeah. So quite the negotiators. It's like, all right, how about it comes back after the bye? Okay, so they'll have a game and then they'll play the Bengals.
I don't know.
So what were you saying about law of averages?
Like in my head, we probably should split, but I don't really see us losing 3 games in a row. I just don't.
Mhm.
So you know what? I was thinking maybe this would be a loss, but this actually might flip into a. Well, I don't know, because at this point, depending on how well Cleveland's playing, they may not even be in it. It may not even be worth playing Watson. But then I guess if he hasn't played in a while, it might be worth, because this could technically be kind of like his preseason, even though it's a season for next year. Like he's just preparing.
I feel like you got to play.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, he's probably definitely going to play. I mean, the only reason why you wouldn't want to play is because you don't want to risk injury. But I mean, he hasn't at this point. It'd be
He
like a
hasn't
year and
played
a
in
half.
like almost
I guess technically, time wise, it would be 2.5 years. If you include
it's been a long time since
yeah.
he played. I don't know.
So he might actually be pretty
last
rusty thinking about it. So you know what? We'll get the dub.
All right, good. I was trying to
I feel good about that.
send positive vibes, I guess.
I feel pretty good about that. Now Tampa Bay, that's going to be an interesting match. It's at Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a really tough game because they have a phenomenal team. Obviously, they did lose their center, but in terms of like replacing people, or I guess positions, maybe center might be one of the easier ones. Not saying you can replace a player like Jensen, because he's definitely a different animal, and I felt like the Bengals really wanted him as well. Actually, I heard if Tom Brady wasn't coming back, he probably would have signed with the Bengals, but obviously that didn't happen. I don't know. It's going to be a tough game, but it's one where I could see we would probably lose, being away against a really strong team. So we're going to have to chalk that up to a loss.
Okay.
And then headed into New England. Wow, they don't even have I just realized they don't have a time for this, because Baltimore, I guess, could possibly be a primetime game.
Yeah.
I feel like we take care of business in New England, though. I think overall we have the better team. I actually don't see the Patriots making the playoffs this year. So,
okay.
I think we win.
Why is that?
Because I feel like a whole bunch of other teams got better, especially in the West. AFC West, was it Denver, Raiders, San Diego, and
I mean, I guess Buffalo is now the king of that division.
yeah, because I think Buffalo is definitely going to win that division. So I think the way it's going to shape up, we're gonna take the dub at New England, get back on the right side of the record, or I guess what am I trying to say? We're gonna start to build that momentum. Buffalo's gonna be tough, even though it's a home game. I feel like there's gonna be a lot that we're gonna want to have to prove. I do feel like we're gonna beat one of these elite teams, so I don't feel like we're gonna lose to all of them. Whether it's Kansas City or Tampa, New England, or not New England, Buffalo. But their pass rush is going to be pretty intense. It is a home game.
Is it a home game?
Yeah, it's because it's black.
Yeah, I was just joking.
But okay, I think I see this how this is going to shape up.
You just gotta go with your guts.
I am going to go. I'm going to go with my gut.
Go with your guts.
And we're gonna lose this one.
What? Your guts is telling you we're gonna lose?
Yes, because it's either we win this and we lose out, or we lose and we win out. So I think we're gonna. Yeah, as much as that sucks, I think we're going to win the last week, though. Because this is most likely going to be for the division.
Did you already say that they were going to lose to Baltimore before? Remember, you were doing your logic thing?
Oh, yeah. But no, that's what I'm saying. We're gonna win this. We're gonna
Not Baltimore. You gave them a loss in Baltimore, so okay.
Because I feel like this is probably going to be for the division at this point, based off of everything else that's going on.
Okay, so tally it up.
Because, like I said, this could go either way. Because I feel like if we win this right here, then we probably clinch the division. So we probably don't play our starters here. So, but logically, yeah. The only thing that kind of concerns me about this is that if this plays out, and we've done it before. I think we went undefeated in the division before. Not in this, but we're going to go 5-1 in the division. Basically, sweep the Steelers, which is fairly realistic. Sweep the Cleveland, which is pretty realistic because Watson won't play the first game, and then when he comes in, it'll be so late in the season. It might be a lot for him to kind of catch up with everything. But we already lost to Baltimore before. So, I mean, it makes sense to me. I mean, not like overanalyzing it. So I feel pretty good about this list. I feel pretty.
Okay, what's how many losses do you have there? 1, 2.
I believe it's 11-6 again.
11-6 again.
Yeah, because it just counts the losses. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, 11-6.
Okay.
11-6, same record as last year.
Mm-hmm.
Win the division.
Okay.
So
I think I would take the over on 11 wins.
Now,
I feel like the Bengals have gotten better.
Definitely, but I guess according to the schedule, you have to remember we do have one of the tougher schedules in the NFL. For sure, the first half of the season is much easier than the last half. It gets pretty brutal down the stretch. But thinking about it, though, that's good leading into the playoffs to get that experience. That's why we have kind of more losses at the end of the year than what we do at the beginning. But that will have him more mentally prepared for the playoffs. But I do see us winning the division and making the playoffs, especially if we go off of this record, because we'll be 5-1 in the division.
Yeah, but you don't see them being like a top seed then. You see kind of like a wild card season again.
Well, no, that you wouldn't. It would be a 3rd or 4th seed. Because wild card would be for non-divisional winners.
Yeah, but you have to play during the wild card week, right?
Yes.
Because only one team gets a bye anymore, right?
The first number 1 seed. I mean, I think we'll be in contention for the number 1 seed. And there's ones where we lose, where I could see we probably win.
Well, not 11 wins. I think usually it takes usually it takes like 12, 13 wins, but that's before they added the game. So now do you need 13, 14 wins? I don't know.
And now, of course, if we win any more than what I have, which could be realistic, say we beat Kansas City or Buffalo, and we get that 12-5.
I think Kansas City is going to take a significant step back this year.
Yeah, I could.
I mean,
logically, based off of what happened, obviously, because how do you get better at losing Tyreek Hill? They didn't really replace his type of talent. But
I mean, they replaced them with Well,
they got Schuster,
guys that were like the 2nd and 3rd receiver elsewhere at other places, right?
Right. Well, the thing is that
not anybody that was like an elite.
No, I mean, Tyreek Hill was voted in the top 20 players by the NFL players, so I think they recognize his skill.
Yeah, but I mean, how many touchdowns did they score? Because Patrick Mahomes would just throw it over everybody's head. And Tyreek Hill.
I think that's
standing behind the defense.
The guy from
Green Bay.
Yeah, he's supposed to be just. I mean, I don't think he's gonna be as fast as Tyreek Hill. because
he's just as good, and
speed wise,
but
he's up there.
He just never played that good because why?
Because I mean, the quarterback in Green Bay is not that good. Aaron Rodgers. I mean, come on, he's
come
no
on,
Patrick
man.
Mahomes. No, I'm just kidding.
That kombucha guy, right? Or was he drinking some kind of tea? Not kombucha. We're joking. We're joking, by the way. We think Aaron Rodgers is awesome.
No, he's definitely
the point being, like, okay, I mean, he played with a great quarterback and hasn't been like a great player, an elite player. He's been good.
No,
I mean, he wouldn't start for the Bengals, right?
No. But again, I always fall back on who's your quarterback, who's your coaches, and Andy Reid.
Yeah,
and
he's a very good coach, yes.
And Mahomes, like you can't really underestimate that. They make a lot of people better too. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Tyreek Hill takes a dip in his overall performance because he's playing with Tua, right? So like,
well, yeah, you would expect him to have a harder time because he's going from an elite quarterback to up and coming guy, we'll say, right? But the guys that the Kansas City Chiefs signed are guys who played for pretty good quarterbacks, pretty good systems, and they're just like okay players, right? Good players, good NFL players, but it's they're saving money, right? It's it's like your Brandon Cooks of the world, right? It's like, yeah, they're good players, but I mean, you don't get better going from like an elite player to a good player, right? It makes me think of like what the Texans did when they got rid of oh shoot, what's his face?
The receiver, Hopkins.
Yeah, Hopkins. Yeah, when they got rid of Hopkins, and then they got like Brandon Cooks and like some guy from they got who was the guy who used to? I think he's back in Green Bay now. Can't remember his name.
Yeah,
but just
it was the guy that Rodgers wanted back. Played in Kentucky.
Yeah,
just can't think of his name. He's older now though.
But exactly those kind of players, right? Good players, good NFL players. You replace someone who's making, we'll say $20 million with three guys that add up to $20 million. You got worse, right? That's just how it works, right?
And looking at this list, I feel like even though we got the 11 wins, which is a really good record, I could see where we could have 12 or 13. I mean, we definitely could beat Dallas, And like I said, and against these teams,
you that one's in the bag, right? You reverse jinxed it. So you put the L on here.
But the law of averages. But the weird thing, and we may have to clip this, is that we get the win here, right? But we lose to Carolina. That's where it gets like everything adjusts.
No.
I mean, it's Baker Mayfield. We cannot discredit Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's going to be in Carolina. He's going to use all of his revenge mojo on, like, Cleveland, right?
Actually, that will tell us a lot about Cleveland and, obviously Carolina, or maybe how good Baker Mayfield really is. Because if he goes in there and they win, that's a pretty big statement game.
Yeah, it's hard for me to say. Like, every game that I've, like, watched Baker Mayfield play, he's been amazing. So, but I still think the Bengals are, you never know with Carolina. I mean, maybe McCaffrey's back and maybe they're good.
It's also the NFL, so it's like literally any given Sunday, anything can happen. But I mean, looking at the list, I look at the wins, right? Mm-hmm. I don't see anything where it's like, okay, I really doubt that's going to happen. But if you look at the losses, there's some like Tennessee, Dallas, maybe even Tampa Bay. Like the thing about Tampa is like, or with Tom Brady, it's like at some point the wheels are going to fall off, right?
Yeah, I think it's going to happen this year. So now I've just jinxed us. But I think it's going to happen this year. I think this is the year that Tom Brady falls apart.
But that could be the play for Tom Brady too, because I think there was a big indication that he was trying to get to Miami. Like that was a real thing. Because Miami, I
Right.
think, got in trouble for tampering, right? But
Yeah,
then Tom
yeah.
Brady
No, I
didn't get
think
any.
yeah. I mean, if they got in trouble for tampering, then there was definitely
Well,
some
there was
fire to go
reports,
against
and they were
them.
talking about it on ESPN, like Tom Brady
Yeah,
wants to
but
play in
that's
Miami.
already
Blah, blah, blah.
done. He can't go to Miami now,
I
can
think
he?
the realistic thing's going to happen is that if obviously if the wheels do fall off, they'll probably lose that interest, and it already suggests that, and this is a big thing right here, Lamar Jackson might be interested in Miami. So even though technically that would be a few years away.
Okay, so Miami's linked to like every possible quarterback in the NFL not named Tua, and we're worried about like maybe Tua straight from the Bengals. Man, it seems like Miami
We're
doesn't
only
really
talking about
like
two
their quarterback.
quarterbacks. Well, Miami is a very flashy town. It sounds like their owner has money. So anything's possible if your owner has cash on hand, right? Cash is king. That's how you sign
Yes,
big time players.
cash is king.
Huh?
I said, yeah, cash is king.
Yeah. Well, put it this way. Like, that's the whole reason why we had to sign a deal for the stadium. The naming rights. That has everything to do with the money that we're going to have to pay for Burrow.
I guess.
No, it is. Because when
No, I
you.
mean, I don't disagree. I just don't think they're getting that much. I don't think they're getting enough to pay Burrow for.
It's enough to take care of his signing bonus. What you had to pay him up front.
You think they're going to give him? Do you think they got $100 million for the naming rights?
I'm sure it's probably a 10-year deal, right? That's like standard.
I don't know. They get that much for naming rights? I
It's the
thought it was like
NFL.
$1 million a year or something.
No, it's the NFL.
It's just the name of a stadium. I mean, like all the companies that
It's not just the name of the stadium. It's the name of the stadium that they broadcast every Sunday, and they say for 4 hours to millions and millions of people. So, plus the Bengals struck when the iron's hot. They're kind of as much. They're actually pretty business savvy when it comes to certain things. Like, I don't know. It's the NFL, so like I'm sure
it's a 16-year deal.
it's 16 years.
Yeah,
What are the numbers?
I'm trying to figure that out, but it's a 16-year. Financial terms of the 16-year agreement weren't disclosed.
Yeah, see, I was thinking like maybe 10 years, at least $5 million a year, right? That's like $50 million. But 16 years, holy shit! Way to go,
I
Bengals!
wonder stadium rights money.
I mean, it's got to be between the 5 and 10 million range. I don't see where it's.
There's from the seat.com, whatever that is. Shout out. Okay, Phoenix. Okay, yeah, you're right. University of Phoenix Stadium. This is the number one agreement according to from thisseat.com blog. 20 years, 154.5 million for 20 years. M&T Bank, which is Baltimore Stadium, 60 million for 10 seasons.
Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking. Be like around that range, but
Okay, New Era Field for the Bills, 35 million for 7 seasons. So it's like 5 million. Okay, the Panthers are 140 million for 20 years or 7 million per season.
But the thing is, too, you got to take account of, I guess, inflation. The price goes up probably every year, right? So, like, if those are older deals, and we probably, I'm fairly, it's probably what, around 7 million a year. Seems about right.
Yeah, 7 million. So the Browns got 7 million per year.
Yeah, I mean, if the Browns are getting 7. Like, the thing is that we just went to the Super
Dallas Cowboys are getting 17 to 19 million per season.
Well, Jerry Jones is the ultimate businessman, and he doesn't get enough credit for that. Like, he gets so much hate down here, it's crazy. But he's He's very business savvy, right?
Yeah. So the Broncos, 150 million for 20 seasons, so it's like 7.5. Ford Field, 2 million per season for the Lions. So between 2 and 7, right? NRG is 9 million per season. Lucas Oil Stadium, 6.1 million per season for the Colts. Everbank Field for the Jaguars, 4.3 million per year. Hard Rock, wow. Dolphins, they got 250 million over 18 years, and that started in 2016.
I would say we're probably middle of the pack because we just got off the Super Bowl. I think everyone would recognize Joe Burrow's like superstar, like he's gonna bring notoriety to whatever he touches, right? So it's like they did the right thing. They struck while the iron's hot. So I feel like around 8-7 million. That sounds about right, especially for 16 years.
Wow, Heinz Field, man. That just expired, right? They took down the Heinz Field. It's something else. Heinz was only paying 2.85 million per season.
But was that for like 20 years though? That was a long time.
Yeah, it was like 20 years, 57 million.
Yeah, but they just re-signed with a different one, so I don't know. But
Well, I mean, it just expired, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but
that was like one of the older deals.
Yeah, and they probably got that. Yeah, there's no way because I guarantee the Steelers get more than that, way more than that now.
San Diego Chargers got 900,000 per season from Qualcomm. No wonder they left. Oh, here you go, Levi's Stadium. That's a recent one. 11 million per season.
Yeah, it may even be 10 million because like that just seems like that would be the going rate.
I would think that the Bengals probably get like an average deal. So I think 7 million is probably a fair estimate, given like the age of some of these.
And the city too, like you get it.
Well,
We're in the
the
smallest market.
city. Well, the Browns. What did we say? The Browns got 5 million or 7 million?
I think, yeah, 7 or 8, I think.
Let's see if I can find it again. Oh, Browns, First Energy, 7 million per season. So
Yeah.
I'd imagine that probably is a good baseline. But this deal was signed in 2013. So 7-ish million. Okay, so yeah, maybe they can pay Joe Burrow's signing bonus.
Yeah, no, I think that had everything to
They
do
just
with
didn't
Joe
know
Burrow.
Paycor was that big of a company that they could spend $100 million on advertising.
Yeah, because I think they're just a digital HR firm or something like that. So I'm sure they're very.
Says their annual revenues are 100 to 500 million.
That's a lot,
Well,
so makes sense.
not that much for spending that much on advertising.
I mean, it's only 5 to 7, and I'm sure it's a write-off to some capacity, right? So it's not
A
like
write-off is advertising. It's an expense.
well, yeah, I guess not a write-off, but it's
It's. I mean, isn't it just advertising, marketing?
I guess it's a business expense. So would that negate some of the tax that they would have to pay going forward?
Well, it cuts down their revenue or
Right.
their profits. I
Right.
mean, it eats into the profits. I think you pay taxes generally based on profits.
Yeah. So I think
This is not a tax live stream, so there's just a couple of brothers hanging out in front of cameras. So
yeah, this is all just
this
casual
is all
talk.
just this is casual, jocular conversation. But I think it just goes in the profit and loss, earnings and expense, right? So
I think what they were
their
trying to get out of
their
it
net revenue
has
is probably what
already
you
worked.
pay tax on, but you probably have to pay taxes on a whole host of things, right? It's
Right.
more complicated.
But the fact that we didn't really know anything about him, and now we do, it already suggests that it's probably
I knew
already.
about them.
Yeah, but I think it sparks more interest, right? But I don't think you can. I don't think you can
Yeah,
really
but
doubt.
see, that's what I mean though. To me, it makes sense if you're Levi's, you put Levi's on a stadium, you sell more jeans because the people that watch football buy jeans. You know what I mean?
Wait, hold on. Let me.
Like the more you're like business to business, I don't know
Whoa,
how
whoa,
much
whoa, whoa. Hold on. It says your stream has temporarily been blocked because we detected copyrighted audio.
audio. Really?
Oh,
Huh.
you think? Here, let me end it.
Okay.
Let's see what it.